Guys, I'd like to show you some raker gauges I got and show you what I built, show you some of the problems with that cheap style you get at your local farm store, a little better style that you can get in a kit. It's a sharpening angle deal, but it's got a real nice raker gauge on it, and I really like it, but it won't work on some chains, and I'll show you why. And the raker gauge I built that works on everything and is extremely accurate. Not only will it tell you, you know, like this here, it'll take it down and you take its word for it that that's set for hardwood and softwood, 25 thousandths, 30 thousandths, whatever it is. This will tell you exactly what you got, and you can make what you want on it. I've got sometimes I do raker gauges out here. Well, I do them in there, but I do it on a chain grinder, and I've got it set up out here, a little better lighting, I hope. So I'm going to move you guys around. We're going to zoom in on this bar. I want to show you some different things here, some of the initial problems, and I'm going to help you out with that, I hope. Well, guys, this is a standard chain with the normal rakers like you're used to seeing. Let me get it off that bar there, down here where you can see it. You can see it's got a normal raker, and I know them are depth gauges. They control the depth of this cut right here, this tooth. This controls how deep this tooth's going to cut. Everybody knows that, and they're still commonly called rakers. I know that's wrong. Bear with me. I call them the same as about everybody else. Now this style of gauge here, now if you guys aren't familiar, you probably are, but the normal raker gauge sets on top of this tooth, and this goes down over that, and for softwood it's not supposed to protrude right there. I can feel that it is protruding a little bit. I generally cut hardwood, so on the softwood side it's protruding a little bit. If I was to hit that with a file, it would take that off. Now the hardwood, I'm not protruding. It sets down on there. Those do a good job. I like those, and they work well with this here type of chain. More of a professional chain, for lack of a better term. These gauges here are substantially similar. The teeth set in there, that's just stamped thin steel. They don't work well to run a file across it. You wear that down, you keep wearing that down with the file, and next thing you know, you're taking off more than you want. We can deal with that on these. Let me show you a different chain here. Now another type of chain which is common, and they won't all fit down this bar. The gauge is wrong, but it's going to hold them for me. Now this one here, here's probably a good one you can see. See, that's split right there, so that's double wide. That raker gauge that I like using, see which one was on, that raker gauge that I like using doesn't fit down on that. It doesn't straddle that. Same with this and here. This and here will straddle it, but I don't like this type to begin with. They move around. I don't like it. So you can see that's kind of a safety chain there. Double wide won't work on one of these gauges. I use a lot of different chain. I'll get chain give to me, like this chain right here. This is 325 or 3/8 low pro, and it's kind of a safety chain too, but I had a bunch of 14-inch loops of that given to me, or 16s, and I cut them apart and made 28s out of them because I'm cheap. Well, this style raker gauge won't fit down on that. That's in the way of this coming down and sitting on that chain like it's supposed to, like that. This is in the way of that. So there's a problem with that. This one here, if you can see it, just barely won't set down on that tooth. On some of these, this and here won't even set down on it because it's hitting this safety part. The safety part's doing its job. I guess, even though it's lower than the raker itself, that safety deal gets in your way of measuring your raker. This the same way, or actually it's different too. Here's another chain, and I think it's 73 gauge, but you can see how wide that raker is, that depth gauge is. Again, that's not gonna fit up in my raker gauge. It's just not gonna fit up in there. So I got no idea where I'm at. That's a brand new chain. I've not used it. I got a lot of chain around here. I can fix customers up and one thing and another, but you can see that one there is almost impossible to do with a typical raker gauge. I want to show you, I'm going to put my other chain back on there, and I want to show you that other gauge now. I'm going to use this 3/8 low profile chain. I just sharpened it earlier, but I have not done the depth gauges on it. Oh, just kicked you. This is a raker gauge I built, and it's basically a 2-inch throw dial indicator. I've just welded I took a piece of flat steel, just scrap. It was pretty flat. Drilled a hole in it for my indicator to set through, and just welded a piece of scrap steel up the side and bolted this to it. It's real easy to zero out. It's real easy to zero out. You can just take and set it on a file. Something with a flat edge. Just make sure it's flat from here to here and zero that out. There, I got it in there. I'm trying to watch the camera and watch this at the same time. Pretty close to zeroed out there. Let me turn you around and I'll show you how that works on here, and then I'll show you how it works on the grinder. It works pretty nice on the grinder. Just hang on just a second. We'll turn you back around. Now you can see we'll measure this raker right here, this depth gauge right here. I set that down underneath. I'll make sure your tooth doesn't get up in that hole. On a little 3/8 chain or a pretty new chain, you gotta watch that. That's the only major problem I've had. I just twisted the vise, but I think we can do it again. You can see I'm showing about 20 thousandths. I'm at 80 0 and whiz down to 80. So I'm 20 thousandths under, 19 thousandths under. You can just go from raker to raker. That one's 15 thousandths. This is one of the chains I've put together from a couple other chains. That and there's 35 thousandths. 26 thousandths. So they're just all over the book. 31 thousandths. 19 thousandths. 10 thousandths. Make sure I'm not got that tooth under there. I don't. Yeah, 15 thousandths. These new chains, these cheap chains like this, they were just all over the board. But we're gonna get them all put together, and this chain will cut good. 35 thousandths. So let me bring you around to the grinder and get set up there. Now, you guys are standing where I normally stand, so I'm going to try to do this around you. This is just a cheap chain sharpener. It's identical to my Oregon. Tighten that up. Notice that was, I'm showing about 34 thousandths on that particular raker, and I wish it wasn't that much, but it is. I can't take any off. You can measure them right here on the platform. There's about 19 thousandths. We'll start that in there. There is the adjustment for that is right here for how far this stop comes down, and I I think I've already adjusted that. And also you have to adjust this back screw if you haven't already. It centers that chain up. We're at about 29 thousandths. That's about where I was shooting for, to get them all at 30, give or take. And you can check them all as you go. You can get pretty consistent with it. You get used to it. We'll measure that one before and after, so we're not joshing each other. We're at about 20 thousandths on that one. Just barely hit it. We won't move it. We'll be on the same one. Oh, I just put her back on the same one there now. We're at about 25 thousandths, 22 thousandths. Maybe move that forward just a smidge. We're at about 26 thousandths. Let's try another one. That one sure didn't show me very good. Let's try this in here. Let's take an initial reading on it. We're at about 22 thousandths. This goes a lot quicker once you're set up. I went down to my stop, and we'll check her again. Was at 22. I pushed on her hard. We're at 35. This in here's got a lot more flex than my Oregon one does. There's a lot more operator feel to it, but you can tell 30 thousandths, 31 thousandths. But I'm not trying to showcase the fact that this thing's good on rakers. It's what I'm using on this and here. I'm not necessarily trying to showcase that that's good for it. Doing rakers, I'm just showcasing how this thing works. We're at about 18 thousandths on that. Pull her back and check it. And we're at about 28, 29 thousandths. A couple thousandths difference, hard to tell even with another gauge. A couple thousandths isn't very much. But guys, there you go. That's even better if you're doing it by hand. A couple strokes of a file. It doesn't take nothing to measure that back and forth. Works better than it does on this grinder. This grinder isn't the highest quality, I don't guess. It's not as good as Morgan, but it is what we got. So guys, I hope you enjoy that. Make yourself one of them. They're handy, they're cheap. You can buy them gauges there for 10, 15 bucks, and you can weld the rest of that up if you can weld. And people look at my welds and they'll know I can't weld, and I still done it. So there you go. Just a couple dollars worth of scrap and a better raker gauge than you can buy in the store. It gets going pretty easy, guys, once you get her set up. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're getting ready to do a bunch of firewood cutting. Hay season's over. If you like this kind of thing, let me know. If you don't, I guess let me know that too. I don't know what else to do. Just show you a little bit of what I'm doing. Guys, appreciate it if you like it if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, we appreciate you being here. Thank you.